Want me to
Okay.
get started here? Because I'm
Well,
kind of commanding this one this time. Okay.
yes.
Hi, this is
Hi.
this is sociology. We are kind of doing something different this time around because Laurie is going away to Mexico and I am going to be in town while she's away for a little bit.
Yay.
Uh, so we won't overlap in Vancouver at the same time. So you're kind of getting my background of all the tomatoes we've started here, and we're kind of conversing online, so hopefully the format isn't too bad. But this time around I've actually prepared a PowerPoint for Laurie based around a kind of fashion opinion I have that she disagrees with, and I'm going to try to convince her of my fashion opinion.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
even know this.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to do a PowerPoint of like something that you would find interesting, but uh, there's a few options I considered, so maybe I'll do another one in the future if you enjoy this one.
Okay.
But you got to tell everyone about what you've been up to and what you've been doing since the last time we talked, because it's been about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Um, we have been we always are, I guess, super busy at the studio. We started a new term. So all the new kids are coming in after spring break. We have a new instructor, Shelly, who's turning out to be really great, but we've been getting her up to speed and getting her acquainted with the students and the studio. So that's been good, and she's doing really well. So we're excited to have a new team member.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the other thing that I've been working on twofold is we are working now on getting all the sampling ready for to shoot the marketing material for the summer camps. So both
Mm-hmm.
choosing what we're going to do for the summer camps, but I am testing out fabric and testing out new designs and what do we want to change up. Sometimes we do some of the same things and sometimes we do a little bit different. Can we make it better, more current or whatever, and using more current fabrics so that the kids can see samples in the fabrics that we've got. And I've been obsessing about skirts. So we run a skirt workshop that does okay, but I just think skirts are fabulous. Like I wear tons of skirts and I think that they're a great, well, especially in the summer, uh, they're a great thing to make. They're easy to make. You can do lots of variety and there's lots of different options and they're quite simple, but we just haven't had much uptick on people coming in to make skirts. So I am making some fab skirts. So I've been researching what the trends are and what everybody wants to wear and what's the best fit and different styles. And so I've been sewing skirts like a maniac.
Yeah, we got to have a meeting. Maybe we'll do it next week, talking more in depth because we haven't fully chosen our youth projects for the summer. And
Mm.
we have the photo shoot that we do every year slowly creeping up on us. So we got to make sure all those samples and everything are ready to be done at the photo shoot.
Yes.
On
Yes.
my end, my mom came into town, so I got to see her a little bit. It was only for like 3 days. And then you actually don't know this, I had family from Vietnam come into Vancouver. So Saturday, Sunday, I was in Vancouver
Oh,
visiting my family. But we were out and about all day, eating lots of food and visiting with each other. So they speak Cantonese, which I'm not very well versed in. I took some classes last year, was it? So you were
mhm.
covering me on Saturdays so I could go to my Saturday Cantonese class, but it is really hard to learn. So I've registered for another one over at where is it? The college in Victoria, the one of your girls go to.
University of Victoria.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there we go. To continue my Cantonese learning, just because the only things I can talk about is food and it's like this much. So I'm kind of like a baby in that way. I can't really talk to them about much, but my family from Vietnam has like way better English skills than my Cantonese skills. So I got to work on that. They were trying to convince me to come out to Vietnam. You want to come do a trip to Vietnam with me? Yeah,
Yes,
they just show me
absolutely.
everything. My understanding of Vietnam is that their tailoring culture is like really big. So you can go in and like take them
Yes.
a design and they'll have all the clothes and they'll get it done in like 2 days and then you have a whole new outfit and it's like a really good deal.
Yeah,
So,
and shoes and bags, like they're leather working, so you
oh
can get
wow.
custom shoes, custom handbags. But yeah, people go, you can say, well, I follow a couple people on TikTok and yeah, whole outfits like, and you just pick it, you can pick it from your phone, like, oh, I picked out this outfit from, I don't know, Calvin Klein, and I want this and I want that, and then they make it to fit in like overnight.
And the other thing that I'm working on, because it's kind of funny because the last time we met, you were like, oh, I'm interested in doing quilting and I'm thinking about doing you were going to do a runner for your bed. And then Ava texted me a few days later saying that they also were thinking about doing some sort of quilting. And I was just like, you guys are crazy. What's happening over there? Why do you all want to quilt? And then I thought about it a little bit longer and I've been working on like a patchwork curtain for my house. So I've been patchworking little
Nice.
sheets together. So I guess I'm kind of quilting. Meanwhile, I'm bullying you guys for quilting, but that's
Well,
slowly
it
coming
feels,
together. It takes forever though.
yeah, but it kind of feels like two things. One is that my feeling is that I would always want to do it from scraps. And I know that that's not everybody's ability, but we just have so much scraps
Yeah.
here, right? So I would in most often wouldn't. My problem with quilting in sort of the bigger sense is that that's what I see people do, is that there's a lot of consumption of fabric. Like we sell a lot of fabric to quilters, but quilters hoard fabric, buy fabric, get fabric. And then often we've taken donations of like hundreds of meters of fabric from quilters. So it does have like a little bit, like in my head, like it's a little bit, what do you call it? Like, and people just hang them up. Like they're a little bit useless, right? I know that they're an art form and an artwork, but at the same time, I go back and forth. It's like, why are you making 1,000 quilts to give to people that nobody wants? And then they put them in a drawer or somebody has them all hanging up in their house. Like, what's the point? But I love useful, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought, oh, we've got all the scraps, so I don't have to buy new fabric. It's useful. But the other thing about the sewing is that sometimes it's nice to sew, if you're a real avid sewer like me, thoughtlessly. Like I think it might be akin to like knitting a little bit, right? That there's parts of it that you can just, you're just sewing, 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 and you don't have to think. Whereas when you're making clothes, it's a lot more, you have to check the fit and then the baking and then this. So I kind of like the brainlessness, the meditativeness of quilting. But yeah, but I'm also a little bit weirded out because I've always said like, don't let me be a quilter. No.
Okay. I'm going to show you this presentation. So the backstory for this being, Laurie has really promoted me to buy more shoes. When I started out at Movida, I think I had like maybe 3 pairs of shoes, and I really only wore one of those to work because only one of them was nice enough. I have since expanded my shoe collection. I want to say I have about 15, and about 10 of those I would probably wear to work. And a lot of them are pretty impractical. So I was this past year, trying to resolve my issue of having impractical shoes, because then what happens is that then I'm wearing slippers to work when my feet get tired of wearing heels. So I was going through the ideas of like a shoe that looks cool, but a shoe that is comfortable. And I also have never really been a fan of a runner. So then it really only seemed like my options were flats. So I was looking for an option that is a flat, but not as boring and still could suit my style. So the thing that I came to, here, let me pull up a picture so everyone can see. Oh.
So your deal was always, I'm not going to spend any money on a practical shoe because I don't like practical shoes.
I just don't like the way they look.
Right. Or yes, but like, so a functional shoe. So functional shoes were out. And then you were like, if I'm going to spend money, they better be really cool.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to spend money, I only want to buy a super cool shoe.
Yeah.
And your determination of a super cool shoe also equated then, unfortunately, to super uncomfortable.
Yes, exactly.
right? So you have increased the amount of shoes you have, but you've only increased how uncomfortable you are. And you haven't bought anything that's really practical, or you haven't found the fine line, right? Between cool and wearable.
I'm gonna share my screen with you. Can you see it?
No. Oh, yes. No, we've got back to this again.
So
Oh,
I was trying to convince everyone, all the little kids at work, uh,
convinced them.
and especially Laurie, that the TABI shoe was cool. And I'll have you note that Jackie, Laurie's daughter, who is like the epitome of cool, agrees with me that the TABI shoe is cool. And they have been trendy for quite some time. But Laurie thinks they're, what do you think about these, Laurie?
They're ugly.
So I had then put together a PowerPoint for you about why you should like the TABI shoe. Here, can I? How do
Yeah, because,
I?
but like, there's ugly shoes in the past or ugly things in the past. Like, we all agree, right? Like, an Ugg boot is pretty ugly, right? But it's understood. It's super, super comfortable. It's soft. It has lots of practical applications. You can create kind of a funky look, but there's no misunderstanding that it's ugly. And then the same thing with like the Birkenstock. I mean, from my generation, they used to call Birkenstocks birth control because if you wore a
I
Birkenstock,
don't like Bergs.
I know, but if you wore one that was equivalent of birth control, right? Like it wasn't, what did we used to call our shoes? Tall, pointy shoes were called CFMIs. Come me. Right? Right? Is that CM? Yeah. So, anyways, those were like, sexy shoes.
Okay.
So you can call it, what my idea is that you can sort of call it traditionally what you want or whatever, but you have to acknowledge it. So I don't have a problem with you liking the tabby.
Yeah.
It's just that, isn't it ugly?
Uh,
Everybody else
like
doesn't seem to acknowledge that it's ugly. Like if you acknowledge, like, this is really ugly and I like the ugliness of it, right? I like some ugly things. Like I have both Birkenstocks and
you
Uggs.
have
I
Bergs?
know. Yes, of course.
Whoa. Whoa.
I
Okay.
don't wear them. I don't wear them to work. They are my going to the beach shoe, or if I'm going on like a vacation where I'm walking and it's hot, they're great to walk in. Nobody sees me in them. And mine are silver, right?
Yeah.
But they fit a certain moment that you need, right? If you're traveling around and you need a lightweight, cool shoe, you gotta.
Well, isn't that what I'm trying to get at here? I just don't. You
No,
know
because
me.
nobody sees me in this. This is on vacation. This is not a fashion item. This is not
I
putting
don't
it in
like
my
my
wardrobe.
toes out.
Because I'm at the beach. You're allowed your toes out at the beach.
Toes out. Okay.
Okay. So, but you're saying that the tabby and everybody else is saying that it's a good looking shoe.
I think it's an interesting looking shoe. I don't think it's a sexy shoe, but I also think, in general, our aesthetics have moved away from sexy. So not everyone is trying to look like Megan Fox anymore. You're just trying to be like interesting, visually
Oh,
interesting,
yes.
appealing. So not really a sexy shoe unless you really like your big toe, which is a little bit weird, but I don't really think that there are people out there who are looking at the tabby shoe thinking that it's sexy.
No, I don't think so. I think that they're thinking that it is like, what do you call like architecturally or styly interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything about your big toe that screams styly interesting. It leads me to think of like webbed toes or like toes
Have
soft.
you
Like,
have you all always hated them
yes, yes. I
the
never
whole
understood. People put them
time?
on. And I'm like, and also, like, here's a funny thing for you is that they are traditionally worn by very, very conservative fashionistas. Like, this
Really?
is not an out there shoe, right? Like, you're
Well,
wearing this with a,
when I was looking for, we'll get into it later, but I was looking for outfits that you would find. Uh oh. Okay. If I drop this call just because Zoom may kick us out, we may have to restart and pause, just so you know. I'll cut those bits together.
Okay.
Okay. What was I saying?
Oh, you were saying that when you were looking for outfits, you were
Oh
looking for
yeah.
people
So
wearing
I
a
was looking for
tabby and an
outfits.
outfit.
So I'm trying to look for out there outfits that you could see me wearing or that you could see you wearing. So I pull some of those imagery, but a lot of them are the very classic Vancouver look. Like a white button up, like
Mhm.
black outfit,
They
rain
usually go with
jacket.
they usually go with an ultra conservative look.
Yeah. I'm trying to move outside that, so maybe by moving outside that you can see the vision.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Show
Um
me the vision.
okay. There's a few slides here. So I just wanted to explain what a tabby was, and then I'm also going to talk about the history of the tabby because that is important with fashion. Um, so originally, which a lot of people don't know, the tabby is the split toe sock that they have where your big toe is separate. And those were created because of the wooden platform sandals that Japanese people wore. Okay.
Good.
The
Mhm.
evolution of that is that they then made a uh, a fully covered boot with a rubber sole with the split toe in Japan. So this is 20th century Japan. Uh, and those were thought to be better for your mobility because you have more grip on the ground. So then commonly they were used in kind of workwear. Uh, and then Margiela had his debut show and he premiered his version of the tabby. He was cited to say that he made the tabby because he wanted footwear that looked like you weren't wearing a shoe.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. This is more about the history. Um, okay, I gotta move the camera of me real quick. And I have some visual representations of the historical background of the tabby. Uh, and I want to talk about the fashion history of this because I think it makes the item more important, though there's kind of controversy around the appropriation of culture. I still think it's important to talk about the culture which inspired the thing in the first place, because when I was looking at the shoe, I was also looking at the Japanese versions of the shoe. Specifically, there was one made out of obi belts that I was looking at getting. Uh, because I also think, in terms of trends and fashion right now, Japanese culture is really getting a boost. So while you may not necessarily like Margiela's version of the tabby, which is classically done with the little heel, and it's all leather and black or white, you may find the Japanese version of the tabby a bit more interesting.
Yeah,
In
and I think now that I didn't know this, of course,
Yeah,
but I guess the history of it absolutely makes it more tolerable to my palate
yeah,
to see
okay,
that it came from somewhere rather than just
working.
Margiela just decided that his toe was, like, cool.
Yeah, no, not his toe. Uh, uh, in trying to research this, there were a lot of mixed origins about very originally why they started wearing the tabby sock. But it's guesstimated to be in the Haitian period, so going as far back as the 700s, the late 700s, and specifically worn by nobles in Japan, just because the wooden shoe is a very impractical shoe. So that's a whole thing. Originally, they were most commonly done in cotton, but later, when they had more access to different materials, then it moved on to be out of silk and leather. Um, there's also a whole thing that goes along with the colors that nobles wore. And then by the 1500s, it was widespread among samurai to wear the leather tabby, the leather being more durable, and then the belief that the split toe gave you a bit more mobility when you're moving around. And then cotton took over popularity, which is how you see it most commonly in workwear in Japan today. Okay, here's the history. That's all. Okay, and then we talk about the Margiela tabby. So we're going from the 700s to the 80s. So Margiela, if you don't know, is well known for his interpretations of other designs. And after he got done working under Jean-Paul Gaultier, he launched his own line. I want to say it was the late 80s, but you might know better than me. And then, of course, he wanted to create a shoe that emulated being barefoot on a heel. And actually, these shoes were not popular for a very long time. So it's only in recent years that people really have enjoyed Margiela's tabby.
Yeah, they're not in my consciousness until like the last 5 years, or maybe a little bit longer than that.
It was in his first collection, and he had such a hard time selling these shoes that
it was ugly.
Yeah, and then he kept sending them down the runway, so he kept painting over them for each of his new runways because he still had the original shoes. He couldn't sell them, but he wanted people to like the shoe. So he had a hard time with it, kind of indie for a long time. And then here's some of Margiela's work for the first few years. I thought the fuchsia gown was going to be the most appealing to you. Apparently on one of his first runways, he also dipped the shoe in paint and then had them walk around, down the runway there. How do you feel about these?
No.
You hate them.
Because I don't even think it looks like a bare foot. A bare foot is better. They look like an animal's foot, like a deer's foot or something, right? It doesn't look like
I don't know. Maybe that's my my cosplay background. I find the animal toe kind of interesting.
Yeah, it looks like an animal's toe, like a deer or something, right? That's what it looks like.
Okay, so I'm still not selling it.
Like it's turning your foot into a hoof, and I'm not sure. That's where I want to go.
Don't want hoof feet.
Yeah. Okay. Especially when you have big feet, big hoof feet. No.
Okay. In recent years, of course, we know that the tabby has gained some popularity, which has caused a lot more brands to adopt this kind of style. So I brought you some variations here. Of course, the Nike Air Riffs are all the way to, I think it's our left here. And those come in tons of different styles, and they're also quite limited runs. So sneaker culture goes along in it.
Yeah, I think this shoe is super cool, but I would want get rid of the split toe. Like I'd take the shoe in a heartbeat.
It's so boring if it doesn't have the split toe.
Okay, can I say something too? And I don't even know who listens to this or how PC, but isn't it very femininely sexual? Like, doesn't it look like as well? Like in some of these styles, it looks like a hoof, but in some of these styles, I mean,
maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it needs to be a little bit sexy. That's what we're talking about. It's a new variation of the sexy shoe. And honestly, like stilettos aren't as popular anymore. Like
I don't want a stiletto.
I'm gonna lose you for a minute. So okay. I'm gonna have to call you back. So when I exit. But they were popular. Like people talk about going to nightclubs in the 90s and wearing like stiletto shoes and not being able to walk home.
Yeah. So what?
My point being, maybe this is a new version of sexy. I've 360'd on my view.
Yeah, exactly. Whichever way you have to come at me, you don't care. As long as you win this.
Yeah.
They're sexy, they're not sexy.
It seems if you don't like the fuchsia dress, then we might not be on the same page. But at least then I get to tell everyone about the tabby shoe.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's an interesting conversation because
apparently we can't go past 40 minutes. on whatever application I'm using. So I don't know if it's because I have Zoom Workplace downloaded and I just need normal Zoom or what. You have to pay for it if you want more. Okay. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. Do you remember the thought that you were having? Can you see it?
Yes, we are discussing whether you said didn't want a sexy shoe, and then I basically said, doesn't the Margiela shoe look like a vagina? So is a vagina sexy or not sexy if it in fact looks like a vagina? But then sometimes it looks like, and let's just say it, a camel toe. Maybe that's the old language, or like a hoof of an animal. So I'm not liking either.
So none of these versions you like at all?
No. Oh, I like the ones on the left, but most I like the socks and the things around the wrist and everything.
You
but
like
not
how they're styled?
Yeah, I like the way they're styled.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Reebok, but I think it's interesting that they painted them to represent the original Margiela tabbies. And then Louis Vuitton did their version too, and I think it's so ugly.
Yes.
The Vans come off to me as the most Japanese, which I find interesting because they are canvas with a rubber sole. So I do like that they're kind of Japanese. I could probably get behind the Vans as well. Okay.
So the pumps would be the double sexy, right? Because the pumps are supposed to be sexy because they're tall pumps, and then they've got the toe, so they're like, they are like.
I don't like the color. I don't like anything about the. Okay. Yeah, the Louboutins are not my favorite, but I thought it was interesting that such a high end brand adopted this style. So, and then I wanted some reference pictures because I feel like sometimes when you're so zoomed in on the shoe, you get really focused on what's happening with the toe. But the thing that you say all the time is the unexpected shoe with the outfit. So you're big on that. So I wanted to give the Japanese styling options because in general, Japanese fashion is pretty popular still right now. So I found these kind of interesting, and I of course incorporated the workwear outfit, which I find the most exciting because it's just like it. Our version of workwear is a lot more tailored in. Like we do the big coverall jumpsuit, but like the wide leg seems impractical, but their point is about the movement of it. I don't know what these construction workers need to move a lot for, but I love the outfit. Like I would want the outfit.
Yeah, I would say like the outfit's pretty cool, but I would just think like your clothes would get caught on things, right? Like even
I guess not.
Well, maybe they do and they just don't care, but like I don't think that I would think that the pant would get in the way more than it would be. You'd be better off with a little lycra spandex in your workwear to give you flexibility rather than the big baggy. But they look good.
They need the drip.
Yeah. But like the girl with the polka dot shorts or whatever, I mean, it's cute, right? She's got those racing ones on, but like I can barely see the tabby. So I think the outfit is cute, but I don't know whether the tabby's unexpected. Yeah, I don't know. Still not ringing my bell.
Okay. Not ringing your bell. Okay. And these aren't specifically for you. I just thought they were cool girl outfits that had the shoe. I guess the thing that I like about it is that you're looking at the outfit's really cool, and then you look at the shoe and you're like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah. But I guess, yeah, and I've bought into that before. Like I certainly like on this, I guess. If you wear the tabby shoe, it definitely says something, right? Like a tabby shoe says, I'm into fashion, I'm in the know, I'm alternative without having to like overly express myself, right? Like it's a subtle, quiet nod to being in the know without having to go over top, right? Like it's like if you know, right? So you could wear something very minimal or plain or not that high not that fashion forward. You put a tabby on and then, it signals that your fashion.
And I think we've had things similar in the past. When I worked in bridal, everyone in the bridal shop had the Gucci belt, like the double G black leather belt. And I thought it was so to me, it always read like they were interested in fashion, but couldn't afford actual expensive clothes. And they really wanted to signal to people that they were interested in fashion. So I was not a fan of the belt then. I think partially why I'm more interested in this trend is because of the history surrounding it. And I find fashion a lot more interesting when someone's kind of toying with the kind of history surrounding it.
Yeah, but I don't think they are.
You don't
like
think
I don't think if you asked any one of those women there, do they know where the tabby came from? I mean, they would know Margiela because they want to throw down the name because that's like a designer name, but I don't think that you would be able to ask them the history of the shoe or the relevance and that they would have any knowledge of that. None. No. If I didn't know, they don't know. And I know everything.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I view fashion in the first place. Because I'm looking at the girl. There's a girl on here in the green jacket, and she's got the little tiny shades on, and I'm like, oh, that's very 90s. And then we got the girl in her little military hat with a little peasant gingham top that's all red. So I think the juxtaposition of the military hat is interesting with the very common folk outfit that's exaggerated with a really weird shoe.
Yeah,
so maybe
but I
that's
guess
kind of
when
my
I look
thought process behind it. But I also, because the tabby is so far out there, and like I've gone to the store and tried on the Margiela tabby, they're not they're not horribly uncomfortable, but you have something in between your toe and it's pure leather that is sculpted in there. So it is quite a thick piece as opposed to putting on a flip flop, right? And that just being like a little bit of a prong. So more than just a style choice, it's like you're going the extra level to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, because I'm thinking if you had weird toes, like if you had extra long, big toe or something, you got to make sure that fits. Or if you had little stubby toes.
They're quite a large toe box. I know the girl on the right in the like dress that has the cutout on her tummy. She's not wearing actual tabby shoes. Those look like a Japanese version or an iteration on. And the ones in the center as well, the red ones are knockoffs. So it's kind of funny. You can tell which ones are real and which ones aren't. At least I can't. But I've spent a lot of time looking at tabbies, and there's tons of knockoffs out there. So the shape of the Margiela tabby is slightly different. But in general, they do have quite a large toe box, which I think makes them comfortable for a lot of people to wear. And on top of that, they're leather, so they tend to expand and shape to your foot a bit more.
Yeah, but I'm seeing if you had little shorty toes, then and you have to get that little cracky thing right where your foot is. Your little toes might not even fit in halfway up that box.
And then you can go to Japan instead and get them custom done to your feet because there's studios there that will like actually make the tabby to your foot.
And then you'd have a little stubby tabby if you had little stubby toes.
Maybe it's a look. Maybe it's less coochie-esque if it's shorter. Maybe it's a signal for your coochie how long your slit is. Letting people know. Okay. We're near the end here. Out of all these outfits, which one do you like the best?
I think I like them all. I think they all are pretty cute. Maybe the one right in the middle. I like her little vest and her big jeans.
I kind of thought you'd like that. You really like the denim. Okay, my last slide is outfits that I think you would like to wear with your tabbies.
Yeah. Yeah, I like them all.
I thought the one on the right where she's got the red dress that's very similar to some of the fuller dresses that you wear was
Yeah.
interesting because she has on also the Adidas
The
tracksuit.
Adidas.
Yeah.
That's a good outfit.
Yeah.
That's a really good outfit. I like that one. Well, because I love the baby doll dress, right? But I'm, of an age that I really can't pull off a baby doll dress. So I love the styling of the baby doll dress. It's very fun. But with the baggy pants, it's nice. With the little tuck, then I tried something like this the other day, but I didn't even think about the tuck. And I end up looking really short, like too voluminous with the dress. So the little tuck is nice. Yeah. But like if I was looking at that outfit, I would probably come up with 3 or 4 different pairs of shoes that I would like it better with. Like I would say the least strong part about each one of these outfits is they paired them with this really ugly shoe.
Brutal. Brutal.
And if they're real, that they've spent that much money because they're expensive shoes, right?
Which ones are real? I would say the only ones that are real are the girl with the fish bag. And even then, I can't really tell because they're so dark that they're hard to see.
But how much is a pair if you were going to buy a pair of TABI boots, like the girl with the the yellow bag?
Here, I'm sharing my screen so we can actually exit out of this and we'll go and actually explore. Oh, I added this one just for fun. I have my reference page as well. Maybe I'll include that in the comments of this video. So
That is a good one. I like that one.
Okay, how do I escape? Learning. Exit slideshow.
Ultimate Japanese TABI shoe.
Okay, so the Air Rifts, when I was looking at them, were somewhere around $300, but they depend on what style you're looking at. And do I have this in CAD or USD? Will it tell me?
Well, says Holt Renfrew Canada.
Okay.
So that must be Canadian dollars, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's got to be Canadian, right?
Yeah. They don't have Holt Renfrew in the US.
So not so bad.
No, for the sporty ones, but the shoes.
The Margiela TABI is like $2,000 at least. That's not what I want. Ew, the 5-finger ones are pretty bad. Maybe I should. They're hot pink. Oh. So the most common brand that's like the knockoff is this one that's like Rabosi. I don't like the name. Maybe it means something.
So they can all say that they're TABI because that's the style of shoe.
Exactly.
And Margiela is the one that has been pushing it. So yeah. I was wondering about that because everyone's saying these are my TABIs, and I was like, don't they have to? I thought that they had to be Margiela to be called TABIs. That was their name.
I don't think he can legally claim the name at all. I think then you have to type in Margiela because like he doesn't even show up here, right? So here's the Margiela TABI. A little over $1,000. For the boots, I think it's more expensive.
Yeah, so that was my thought, was that I just assumed, here's the thing, is my assumed that if you were going to wear these ugly shoes, that you'd want the real thing.
My issue with the Margiela TABI is that sometimes the styles aren't as appealing to me. Like they're pretty much mostly black leather, and when they're not black leather, they're like a color that I wouldn't really wear. And then when I tried on the actual heeled TABI, I'll have to find the picture, but when I tried on the boot TABI, I don't really like the boot TABI. His look is kind of boxy as well.
Yeah, I think one of the men influencers that I follow wears a pair of men's Margielas that are a slide.
Yeah.
And I think he thinks I know that he thinks that they're pretty great. That he's pretty cool in them.
Yeah, they're supposed to be unisex shoes.
Yes, and so he wears a black leather TABI slide. And certainly, if you met a man that was wearing a black leather Margiela TABI slide, you could probably get away with a $2 pair of pants and a 50-cent shirt, right? Because the shoe's going to say everything. And so sometimes you want that, I guess, right?
I really like the Japanese version where they're like, but again, that might be my cosplay background speaking, but like the plain long ankled shoe. I was looking at ballerina flat ones as well. Oh, I don't. This is where everyone learns that I don't know how to spell.
That's the one you see on most women, right? Is the ballerina flat.
Yeah, but they do them out of obi brocade.
Well, yeah, of course you can get something, but Sam, then that's not really. We're trying to get you into a practical shoe that you can wear at work all the time, and you're going off on a tangent again, finding a pair of shoes that are not practical for work. Like the idea was
these are flat shoes. At least I'm not in a heel.
Yeah, but you can't wear a canvas or a fabric shoe in
got rubber on the
Vancouver.
bottom.
Yeah, you can't wear that.
Why not? We don't go anywhere. We're just inside the studio. It's no different than me wearing slippers.
No, it's no different than you wearing slippers. But that wasn't the point. You said, oh, if I don't have a good pair of shoes, then I end up wearing my slippers. So I thought, oh, you're trying to find like a stylish, fashion forward pair of shoes that you can wear to work all day.
Yeah.
And this is what you've come up with.
And then I come to the Nike Air Rift, but you don't like these ones either. Not even the polka dot ones. Come on.
I like everything about them except for like you show me this side view and I go get it. But then when
most of the time you're not looking at it head on anyway. And then it's kind of interesting because it's a little bit weird. Yeah, the kids hated them when I ever suggested the idea.
There's something that makes me uncomfortable with that. Looks like a wedgie.
All right, I'm stopping sharing my screen.
So in your search and in your attempt to convince me, did you convince yourself that it was a good thing or did you talk yourself out of it?
No, I didn't talk myself out of it at all. I love the outfits that I found and everything. Because I think the thing that I was having a hard time with was like actively visualizing what I personally could wear with them because my clothes in general are a little bit out there, and the outfits that I put together, I really like to push the boundaries of what can mix and match and go together and play with that. I'm a bit more maximalist in those ideas, and most commonly, like we were saying, you see the people wearing the tabbies in like the classic Vancouver outfit. So in my trying to find outfits that you would find interesting, I found a lot of outfits that I found interesting. And then along with that, the thing that I kind of enjoy about them is the history behind them. So while I knew a bit about it before, having done a lot more research on where it came from and how long it's been around, I find that interesting. So I still like them. It's just justifying the purchase right now because I have a few shoes on my radar, and these are the most practical ones on my radar. So the other thing is that
in the studio they'd be really good conversation starters, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you get a lot of conversation, a lot of people commenting, especially if you had something unusual or I think this dressing, the way you dress would be much different than the way I normally see them dress. Like, as we were talking about, like these more avant-garde outfits or more expressful outfits are not typically what I associate the tabby with. I definitely associate the tabby with a much more conservative look.
Yeah.
So it would be fun to see you style them up and then convince everyone that they're great.
And I think the conversation around them is also why I like them so much, because they're weird and interesting. I love having those conversations with the kids when I'm teaching. And the other thing is that when I am socially awkward, part of the reason that I dress the way I do is so that sometimes I have either something to talk about or an idea that I'm conveying to someone else without having to verbally say the idea. So finding an interesting shoe that I can wear most often and have that be the focal point of why people are talking to me makes me feel a lot more comfortable. I've been having a lot of fun with my cowboy boots, especially out here, because no one, like, I feel like people are used to seeing the cowboy boot, but it's like the Fluvog cowboy boot is just interesting enough for people to really appreciate and gravitate towards it. And then because it's such a focal point shoe, then I can kind of slip it on with whatever.
Yeah. So, because I'm way more excited about the other news, so what are the other shoes on your radar? What are we looking at?
You know what shoes are on my radar, but I'll show you. Let me pull up my screen again. There. You know which ones I want. I've been watching them. They still exist in my size, which is good.
Still.
Everything's on sale.
He has a lot of sales.
I feel like when I first started following Fluvog, it wasn't as common, but it's almost like maybe they mark it up now and then I don't know. You got to go on sale a lot more often when you have more sales. I feel like that's the slippery slope of having
Well,
sales.
don't show me because I've always bought everything on sale except for the pair of boots that I bought there last time, and they weren't.
These ones, I tried them on. I'll have to put on the picture of me trying them on. But even these, like on the front of them, will it show me? Kind of have the camel toe thing going on. And I find that interesting. And it's a bit more of a boxier shoe, but it still has that kind of heart shape.
Yeah. I like these a lot better.
But they're not practical. They're not, though Fluvogs are very comfortable. These are very cushy on the inside. They're not very practical. And then the other thing that's on my radar is the red version of my cowboy boots because I'm wearing them so much. And the red were what I originally wanted, but they have completely gone out of stock. Completely out of stock.
Oh.
So I gotta wait for them to come up on sale in my size. They don't even exist. Everyone loves them too much is the issue. And as soon as you find someone who can actually fit in that shoe, they're probably never going to let them go. Like I wear mine like every other day right now. I wear them more than the Demonias. They're like my new favorite shoe.
Yeah, well, you see, they cross the boundary of being very practical, right? You can walk in the rain, they keep your feet warm.
Well, they're all leather too. Yeah.
And they're bold and they're all leather, you see. And this is, I mean, I know that his shoes are a little bit pricier, but I just think like it's worth it.
Oh, 100% it's worth it. They're so well made. I can do anything in these shoes.
Yeah. That's why.
Which I shouldn't talk about them too much because then someone's going to steal the pairs that pop up in my size. But if anyone's watching and has a pair, I want them.
I just saw, I was looking at my skirts. I'm wishing I could remember what designer it is. And then I tried to look at them. I couldn't see it. But in all of the shows that in their latest show, they were showing like a kitten heel. And then they were wearing socks with them.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I love that because I have about 4 or 5 pair of kitten heel shoes. So they're not too high. But I don't like my legs or my ankles that much. And so I was like, socks. And they had like rhinestone socks and polka dotted socks.
Yeah.
And leopard printed and lots of the socks in like a nylon fabric, like really quite thin or semi-transparent and a bit scrunchy, or some of the socks were, like I said, like covered in rhinestones or beads or pearl, and they kind of slouched down a bit, like kind of messy. And I was like, I could totally rip that because I've got like 3 or 4 kitten heels. And I don't wear them very much because you have to sort of have bare legs and there's not a look, but I'm like, oh, I could wear that. So I'm going to work on that. I spent an hour on a bunch of sites trying to find cute socks, which is not that easy to find the cute socks.
Well, the thing that I'm interested in is getting like socks and then like customizing them myself, because for a while on the pin board I had like found this picture of buttons sewn onto stockings. So I always think about that. You need to have like a sock customization class, because then you can just get a plain pair of like tube socks and sew on lace on them. There's lots of options. I love a good sock.
Yeah, well, and I was watching someone else and they were putting their brooches on them, right? Like vintage brooches and stuff on the side. So wearing a sock, showing, and then having like a bedazzled like vintage brooch or something. And I was like, oh, I love that. So I'm going to be bedazzling some socks pretty soon, or getting a pair of socks. The ones I saw that I was really liking was like a pair of like a leopard print sock. I'm like, oh, that would be so nice and subtle, like a slingback kitten heel shoe, a little sort of nice leopard sock, and then a black skirt. I'm always like, that's like a nice little hint, and I can revive my little kitten heels.
I still think I need to find a shoe that is comfortable, that is not a platform, because I think traversing any sort of hill in a platform, after a while, my ankles get tired. And I'm not sure how I feel about a kitten heel. I don't even own, I think, a normal pair of heels anymore. But I also, back when I did bridal, we would have to wear heels every single day. So it may have killed my desire to wear like a plain stiletto, though I still think they're visually interesting to have like the little thin, what are those called?
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
stiletto or like a pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a heel. I don't see, it's really funny. You go into like some of the shoe stores, some of the more typical shoe stores, and they show pumps all the time, like lots and lots of high heel shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And yet in the real world, you never see anyone. Like, I don't know, do the young girls, and I don't know much about night clubbing anymore, but like when I was in the 80s, really tall shoes were in because you would go
Yeah.
to the nightclub, or
Yeah.
like that whole Pamela Anderson kind of like tall shoe. But
Yeah.
I see them in the stores, but I have never seen, I don't know when people wear them. Do they wear them to like a
Only,
wedding? Like, it's not
yeah,
a
only
typical.
special occasions, and I'm not sure if like any of my friends own a heel, let alone a stiletto. So
Yeah.
I do see them all the time in stores, but maybe it's more of an aspirational thing. Maybe people go into the store, like the stiletto shoe, and aspire to wear it, and then hold on to it until they have an occasion.
Yeah,
So
because we used to call like high heel shoes for me, but like cab to the curb, meaning you would wear high heel shoes to go out to dinner,
yeah.
right? And so you'd wear really, because you just had to get right from the cab
I
outside,
don't
walk
even
into
think
the
that's
restaurant.
common anymore. But especially in Vancouver, everyone's walking everywhere.
Yeah, but also when I've gone to the restaurants now, nobody dresses up. Like, I'm always horrified that you're at a fairly
Brutal.
expensive, fancy restaurant. They're in
Yeah.
sweatshirts and hoodies and sneakers. So I'm like, who is buying all these high heel shoes and where are they wearing them to?
I always, when I first started going to more expensive restaurants, I was nervous that I needed to dress at a certain class. But the longer I've gone on, and especially in the area that we work in, I have discovered that there's not really uh, a class divide on what people are wearing. Like the kids that we get in will wear a lot more Aritzia, but I still think that, and maybe that's a luxury issue right now. People can't afford to buy houses, so then they're uh, buying more expensive clothes. But I don't feel like there's a clothes divide. Okay, how do we wrap this up? I think if you're watching this, I want to know the weirdest shoe that's in your closet, and then whether or not you actually like the TABI, or if everyone agrees with you that they think the TABI is weird. Because I don't think I got any closer to convincing you to like TABIs, but maybe a little bit. You'll be chill as soon as I get my TABIs. You'll think that it will be
Yes,
interesting.
I think that you've convinced me to take another look at them where you're going to style them, because I think what I associated, besides them being ugly, is with a very, very conservative look, and the
Yeah.
look that the overall look, the package that I got was just not interesting to me. It's like an ugly shoe and an ugly outfit. So there you go. So maybe if you give me an ugly shoe and a great outfit, then maybe I will be more on board.
All right, I'm gonna have to decide which ones I get and start experimenting, because this me trying to convince you isn't over. I won't rest until you want a pair of tabbies yourself.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can't ever imagine that.
I can. There's a vision in my brain. I want to know what outfits you would put together with a tabby.
I don't want a foot vagina.
Okay.
If I'm out there willing to do the Birkenstock on vacation and the Uggs on, my
I
week.
can't even picture you in a Birkenstock though, so we're a bit divided there.
The only thing that bugs me about the Birkenstock, and I kind of get it, is I'd love like a slightly more platform one, like slightly higher, but they don't make it. Only the
Don't?
knockoffs, only the knockoffs
Oh, the
make it, but the real
knockoffs do. I'm
Birkenstock.
like, I
And
swear.
it may be because of the walking platform and what they're supposed to do, that it's like it's against what, like it doesn't
Well,
work the way it's
yeah,
supposed to, right? Because
yeah.
it's supposed to be a super comfortable shoe that forms to your feet and does all of these great things, which they do. So maybe having it a little bit more platform is not in. And you want to know one more thing about the Birkenstock that I find is really weird is that even though they're so ugly and they look it, they're actually, unless you get specifically, they're not very wide. And you would think because of the shape of them
Yeah,
that they
I've
look
tried
like
them on
boats,
before and it hurt my feet because they were like so
narrow.
narrow on the sides. My
Yes. And so
understanding is that eventually it's supposed to morph to your foot, but it
no, but
seems
I
like
bought
it
a
just.
wide one. You can buy a wider one, but I just
Okay,
thought of
okay.
such a big, flat, round, like boat-looking shoe that you would think automatically that they would be for a slightly wider foot, but they're
Yeah.
not. They're very narrow, and I have to get a wider one. And then the other thing that's really weird about them now is that they make them vegan, which doesn't make any sense to
I,
me at all.
for the record, I'm vegan and I don't believe in a vegan shoe.
Yeah,
But
but so that they won't make a platform sort of one
yeah,
or a thicker sole one, but they make vegan ones, which means the straps are all plastic. I was like,
yeah.
well, what's the point of a plastic straps on a Birkenstock?
No, like I think the great thing about Birkenstocks is that my understanding is that it's all natural materials, and then you can completely replace everything on it. So
Mhm.
if the sole goes bad, you can replace the sole, you can replace the leather, and then it's a shoe forever, which I can really get behind. The plastic trash that's gonna, oh, I have such a loaded opinion about it, that it's gonna schleff off into the environment and last forever. I can't get behind that. As much as I'm uncomfortable by wearing the skin of an animal, at least then, uh, especially with leather, it will last my lifetime and the next lifetime, and keep me warm and dry and
Yeah.
cool and whatever I need.
Yes, my Birkenstocks, I've resold them once or twice,
It's
right?
pretty
And
good.
had them forever, probably 15 or 20, 15 or more years for sure. So I like that part about them. I thought, oh, they were looking like very schlepped in. And I thought maybe a new pair, once every 15 years. Not that I would get rid of my old pair. They would just be downgraded to,
Taking out the trash. Not
taking
that
out
you
the
do that,
trash.
but
But yeah, but vegan ones, that's weird. But c'est la vie.
okay, we
Okay.
got to wrap this up because we
Yeah.
could talk forever.
Yeah.
But definitely the people got to let us know what shoes they are wearing and then how they feel about the tabby. And then me and you will meet up next time to discuss our youth sewing program for the summer and deciding on the trends for the summer.
Okay. Perfect. Love it. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.